glad to see you here today. Have you ever been in a fight? It doesn't have to be a physical fight, but we can probably remember a time when we decided to fight with someone when we probably should have walked away. So what makes us stay and fight instead? And while sometimes it's important to stand up for ourselves, how do we know when we should stand up for ourselves or when we should walk away? Let's be honest, that's a really hard question. And when we have big questions like this, the first place we should turn is the Bible. And today's story is one of those moments that can help us when we face a question just like this. So we're going to head way back into the Old Testament to the first book of the Bible, Genesis. Just thought of something. Hold on. Let me grab some props to tell this story. Oh, there they are. Okay, thanks for waiting. Let's get back to the story. Where were we? Abraham, right. Well, God had made Abraham a promise. The promise is that God would make Abraham's family into a great nation and that he would provide land for this great nation to live in. But by the time Abraham died, that hadn't happened yet. God made those same promises to Abraham's son. We remember what Abraham's son's name is? Isaac, right. And that is where our story picks up today. There was very little food in the land. The same thing had been true earlier in Abraham's time. Isaac went to Abimelech in Gerar. Abimelech was the king of the Philistines. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay there for a while." All right, so we're going to set the scene here. Isaac and his family were nomads, and this place where Isaac was living was in a bad spot. Why was it in a bad spot? Because there was a famine. Now, in our day, when you were out of food, what do? Well, most of the time, you go down to the grocery store and pick up some more, right? But Isaac didn't have a Rouse's or anything down the street. He couldn't just do curbside pickup on his camel. No, when the food ran out, you had two choices. One, starve. Two, go where the food was. And so Isaac went to the Philistine king, Abimelech, and he said, "Looks like we're moving." So, stepped on the food. So, Isaac and his family have now upped and moved. That's a pretty scary thing, right? How did he know they would be okay? Well, look at what God told him after telling him to stay with the king Abimelech. "Stay there for a while. I will be with you and give you my blessing. I will give all of these lands to you and your children after you. And I will keep my word that I gave to your father Abraham. I will make your children after you as many as the stars in the sky, and I will give them all these lands. All nations on earth will be blessed because of your children. I will do all these things because Abraham obeyed me. He did everything I required. He kept my commands, my rules, and my instructions." So Isaac stayed put. Isaac planted crops in that land. So you know what happened to all those seeds? They grew up like wild. So much that Isaac became very, very, very wealthy. And not just rich, but I mean, so wealthy that Philistines living around him became very jealous. And their jealousy caused them to do something really destructive. So they stopped up all the wells the servants of his father Abraham had dug. They filled them with dirt. Wait, what? Gross! Okay, now this was an even bigger deal than ruining a water bottle. You know, we talked about how you can't just run to a grocery store when your food runs out. Well, in the same way, in Isaac's day, you couldn't just turn on the faucet when you got thirsty. These ancient people depended on those wells. The wells that were dug deep into the earth until they hit a fresh spring of water. In the desert regions like this, water was life. And the Philistines literally just dumped dirt on Isaac's life source. And that wasn't all. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You have become too powerful for us." Okay, Can we just hold on for a second and talk about what's happening here? What the Philistines did to Isaac was wrong, and I'm sure he was pretty fired up about it. And now Abimelech was telling him to move away. Oh, I bet that he was getting ready for a fight. So Isaac moved away from there. Wait, no fight? Isaac just moved? Yeah, that's right. He just up and moved. And here we go again. He headed to the valley in Gerar and started completely over. There he found some wells that needed to be redug, wells that went back to the time of his father, Abraham. And when Isaac's servants redug the wells, sure enough, they found fresh water. So we're back in business, folks. Maybe not so fast. But the people of Gerar who took care of their own herds argued with the people who took care of Isaac's herds. The water is ours, the people of Gerar said. Here we go again. All right, I'm pretty sure this is when we get in the fight. Oh, because now it's on. Isaac went through all this work to redig those old wells, found fresh water, and now they were going to come along and say, that's our water. Where were you when we were digging, huh? Oh, my gloves aren't on. Oh, man. Isaac moved on from there and dug another well. That's right. Isaac's servants dug a third well. But the Philistines argued with them about that well too. Can you believe that? Okay. Oh well. And just like before, Isaac and his servants started over, again, without fighting. But just wait until you hear what happens next. During that time, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar. His personal advisor, Ahuzeth, had come with him. So had his army commander, Phicol. This does not sound good. This sounds like trouble is coming. So I better put these gloves back on. Isaac asked them, why have you come to me? You were angry with me and sent me away. Here it comes. They answered, we saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said there should be an agreement between us and you. We want to make a peace treaty with you. Give us your word that you won't harm us. We didn't harm you. We always treated you well. We sent you away peacefully. And now the Lord has blessed you. Whoa, wait. I didn't see that coming. I mean, I thought Abimelech was going to bring a fight. But instead, did you catch what he had noticed about Isaac? He noticed God. And he noticed the way God had been blessing Isaac and how God was with Isaac. Instead of a war, Abimelech wanted to make peace with him. And now, this was a tricky spot for Isaac, right? I mean, they had not treated him very well. Pun intended. They filled in his wells, they sent him away, and then they took his other wells. I don't know if Isaac would agree to peace. I mean, he might want to fight. Then Isaac had a feast prepared for them. They ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men made a treaty with each other. Then Isaac sent the men of Gerar on their way, and they left peacefully. See, to us, it must just look like they were like taking a break for lunch or something, but during this time, this was huge. Meals like this were a sign of peace and friendship. You didn't eat with your enemies. You ate with your allies and your friends. Isaac prepared a feast for them. In other words, he made the decision that he would not fight them. Instead, there it is. Isaac and Abimelech made a promise to one another, a promise of peace. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, there were a lot of surprising moments in this story. When I thought Isaac would have reacted a lot differently. He certainly wasn't treated well, pun still intended. When the Philistines poured dirt in his water, and when the king sent him away, and then when they claimed the wells he freshly dug, I expected him to get angry and take revenge. Maybe even go pour dirt in their wells, or at least take their camels or something. But instead, he walked away from a fight. And in the end, it made a huge difference. In fact, it led to peace. Maybe you've had a similar situation. Okay, I mean, I'm guessing nobody dumped dirt in your earthen well, but maybe you were in a soccer game and the opposing player kept kicking you and pushing you on purpose when the ref wasn't looking. They were trying to get you upset, and it took everything in you not to take the bait. Or maybe it's your sibling. They know just what to say and exactly how to say it to get you all fired up. No matter how much you want to ignore them, you find yourself just really wanting to retaliate. Does any of this sound familiar? It may seem like the strong thing to do, the tough thing to do, is to fight. But that isn't always true. Sometimes it takes a lot more strength and courage to make peace than it does to fight. So when should you walk away from a fight? In other words, when have you found yourself in a situation where you should have walked away? Maybe you currently find yourself in a difficult spot with someone where it's hard to make peace. How can you respond? And how should you respond? Cut.